The guy who discovered the cyclic ring structure of aromatic carbon compounds, so the 6 carbon atoms in a ring, he didn't know how those compounds were structured, and he was trying to figure out what their structure was so that he could then understand the reactions that would happen with those compounds, further down the line, because you need to know the structure of your original compound to understand what the reaction steps are that will then lead to the compounds you want to produce from it. And he didn't know what it was like. And he didn't realize, he never knew, to begin with, he didn't understand that it was going to be a ring. He thought it was going to be a chain because there'd always been, these kind of carbons, alkanes and alkenes were always chains, strings. So the story goes that he had a dream of Ouroboros, so the snake that eats itself, the world snake. That's the imagery of that is a snake eating its own tail, making a circle. So he had this dream, woke up, and his mind somehow made the connection between the dream and the problem in chemistry that he was working on, so the structure of these carbon compounds. And from that dream, he ended up realizing and testing out and eventually discovering that these phenols and aromatic compounds have a ring structure. Now, that for me is very, very interesting because it's a tangible result of something that came from a completely unscientific, you could say, spiritual domain. And it obviously ultimately had to be tested by science, right? And we now know that phenols exist, right? It's a little bit apocryphal, but it's a fascinating story that you can have something that is not part of the, definitely not part of the typical scientific method, dreams, actually benefit a scientific discovery. So it's not pseudoscience, right? It's not believing it without proof, but it's informing a scientific discovery. How does that make you feel?
Well, it's interesting. It's just, I guess I immediately go, I immediately get drawn to all the times that we have dreams and they mean nothing, which is again the sort of it's a nice coincidence. It makes a nice story.
You're going to make it hard for me to make this spirituality series with you, aren't you?
Well,
so here's the thing: you're using the word "mean," and that's the wrong word to use. The dream didn't mean anything in that sense. The dream was just the dream, but he ruminated on it. So he didn't just say, "Oh, thank God I'm awake. I can just forget all that nonsense in my dream." He actually spent 5 minutes thinking about his dream. When he was thinking about his dream, he didn't think, this is what's going to make me figure out the structure of the carbon atoms, right? So that wasn't the thought process. But he just spent a bit of time thinking about it. So while he was thinking about it, it didn't mean anything. And he didn't think it would mean anything. But he spent the time thinking about it, and it led him to that discovery. He didn't know that it would lead him to that discovery. It's not a surefire thing. I'm not saying it is. I'm not saying think about your dreams and you're going to win the Nobel Peace Prize tomorrow or the Nobel Economics Prize tomorrow. But the fact is, he did think about it. He didn't dismiss it. He didn't ignore it because it's just a dream. He was just like, I'll have to think about it.
Yeah, I think it's not uncommon to hear scientists say that many discoveries happen by accident.
Well, most of them happen by accident. That's kind of my point. Most of them happen by accident. There's very few discoveries where they go, yeah, this is what I want to make, and it's not a procedural improvement. It's a discovery. They go, this is what I want to discover, and they get it. Like, there's very few discoveries that happens.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not. Yeah, I mean, being open to things is not. Again, it's not necessarily a bad thing. Humor allows you to think about things in ways that you wouldn't have thought about them before. It opens you up to dealing with things that happen in constructive ways. Would you call that spirituality, or would you?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah,
it's spirituality of our society. So there's an interesting quote about that. It's comedians say with joking language that which the rest of us can't say in serious language. Yeah, so they're exploring you could say it blandly and say they're exploring societal issues, or you could say that they're exploring the psyche and spirituality of our culture.
How do you benefit from the advantages of being open to experiences and spending your efforts pondering certain things that aren't going to end up in harmful results? And one of those things that you don't always you don't always, you aren't always going to know that. I don't know if that makes sense.
Yeah, it makes sense, but my answer to that would be quite straightforward, is you see the outcome. So you just watch what happens to the outcome of all the things that you put into practice. And if it's beneficial, it's beneficial. If it isn't, it isn't. So, you're talking about like, the whole cleaning your room thing. You clean your room and you see if you feel better afterwards. If you genuinely don't, then maybe you don't clean your room. But if you do, then cleaning your room makes you feel good. You don't need to make a multivariate longitudinal study to prove it. The point is, you clean your room, you feel better. So that's kind of my point. It's heuristic in that sense, that you try it out, you pay attention. I'm not saying be lackadaisical. You pay attention and you see the outcome that it gives you. It's not scientific because it's by its nature it's subjective and anecdotal. So it's not scientific, but you do still pay attention and make a decision based on the outcome.
Yeah, and again, I don't just disagree with that. I think if it's doing that,
we're all about freedom, man. Like we're about this is the freedom and individuality side of the channel. So it's all about the individual. There's nothing prescriptive. It's all descriptive. You got to de-script your life, because when you run on a script, you're following someone else's tune, and that's not good, man.
Yeah. If it's an individual doing that, then I don't think there's any harm in them picking that up and.
Where's the collective then?
Hey.
So individuals, okay. So where's the collective that you're worried about?
Well, I think when people start to propagate ideas, then you have.
So religion, dogma.
No, not even that. When it comes to let's even say the field of psychology. So if you're telling people, if you're working with people who have got serious problems that we know about, and that we know what works for those problems, and we know that what can actually make those problems worse, and I guess that's where I'm getting stuck on.
Is that because you are attributing this kind of line of thinking to cases that would be clinically pathological?
And that's what I'm saying. I'm trying to separate myself from. From
so this is
context
more.
That existed. And that's why it's because I definitely see the benefits. I think people are more open to it. I think people should let's do it at a really literal level. I think people should go and read lots of different things. Don't go and read autobiographies. Go and read like sci-fi, or go and read fantasy. Go read something that's completely out there and completely different. That's not about people or small things like people.
One of the good things about sci-fi is that it tends to deal more with concepts rather than people. There's another quote that said that basic people are concerned with other people, and higher people are concerned with events, and the most enlightened people are concerned with ideas. But you're a work in progress, but we'll get there. We'll strip away the veneer of man.
So this series is about me, is it?
Well, evidently. Like I said, I thought you were going to be a contributor. Apparently, you're a participant and test subject.
I think it's just. I think I've just been exposed to.
I think you just got triggered.
Too many situations. Yeah, definitely triggered.
I'm sitting here just being like, killing my buzz, man.